Hey, and we are live here. Dude, what's the bid? Episode number 38. My name is Kevin Hill with Brush Pass Research, and as always, I'm joined by Casey Larkin over at Fairlanes. How you doing today, Casey?
Doing well, Kev. Happy Thursday, busy Thursday. Got Manifest around the corner next week. First time going to Vegas, so it was crazy, I guess. Juggling, preparing.
But first time in Vegas or first time at Manifest?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Sure.
And we have our guest here, Wasim Munayyer. Did I get it right?
Nailed it.
Munayyer, the Munayyer Group, the premier recruiter, executive search person out there. How you doing, Wasim?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys doing this and getting to chat with you again. I really enjoyed it last time, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, we had a chat down on the floor at the Broker Carrier Summit back in October.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's coming up again in April.
In Indy. Are you guys going to that?
Mm-hmm. I am. I don't know about
we will be there.
You're going, Casey?
I don't know yet. I'd love to come.
You should.
We'll have to, figure that out. But, Was, how long have you been going to the Broker Carrier Summit?
This will only be my second one. I mean, this is only going to be the fourth or fifth one that they do, right? Yeah. So Fort Worth was my first one, and Indy will be the second one. Whitney, my wife, will be joining with me, so that'll be pretty cool, and we're looking forward to it. See a lot of friends from the industry. Most of my clients will be there, probably prospective clients. So it'll be good. I've actually never been to Indianapolis ever, so looking forward to that.
Same. I flew into the airport once, and that was about it.
Yeah. So we'll check it out. I hear the one after that is in Charlotte. Also looking forward to that one.
I think it's going to be in Charlotte. It's not 100% yet, but it's going to be somewhere out in the southeast. Definitely. Yeah. I forget the name of the country club that we have reserved for the golf outing for Indy, but it's a private country club. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. Well, if it could be anywhere in the southeast, we should consider Jacksonville at some point.
We may. I think that's on the table.
I know a golf course or two that we can do the tournament at.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I would let them know. I'll definitely let them know. And I'll be bouncing a little bit early from this podcast to go talk to those guys over the Broker Carrier Summit. But let's, I want to start off. I collect data every month on active MC numbers in the broker world. And while there were the 9.9% fewer than in the end of January of 2024, it seems to have stabilized, right? It's stabilized. It's kind of hit a little flat peak. And if I can figure out how to share the graph, I'll share it in just a second. But we have just over 25,000. There's only 63 net closures last month, which is kind of an encouraging sign. If you see on the graph, it's a little bit more encouraging. And if I can remember, it's right down here. I can present. Let's see here. And it's not really showing up here for me, so let me figure that out here.
There we go.
A little bit. Well,
the infinity screen.
I know. Right there. Oh, that's Casey. Casey did it for me. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Thank you. So we only had 63 closures. It's been triple digits each month, net closures for 2 years now, with a couple little blips there. But you see it's trending down, right? We're getting to a more balanced market. I think you see that with the optimism out there in the freight market and the earnings reports and just the general chatter out there on LinkedIn and Twitter. So maybe this is, it's the last of the floor, right?
This is carriers and brokers, or just carriers?
Just brokers, actually.
Oh, just brokers.
Just brokers, right? So I think you probably see a similar kind of arching pattern with carrier accounts as well.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize there was that many that closed down.
Yeah, there's like 25,300. I
Yeah.
think I can't read my writing up there right now, but 25,000 and change brokerages, active brokerages out there. If you look at the largest 1,000 or so, it's about 10 or more employees. And
Does that include like individual agents?
It does not include individual agents. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does not. So that's always kind of a mystery. If you look at like W-2s, out of those 25,000, you're looking at about 150,000 employees at brokerage firms, right?
Okay.
And that doesn't really count the agents all that much. I think there's some agents in that number as well, but I would be very interested to know how many, if you threw agents in there as well, just how many unique entities there are, right? Because you might have, as you know, right? You have one MC number and you have 50 or 100 different agents on there, possibly, right?
Right.
20. And they're all kind of individual companies or individual entities in a certain amount of way. But they're under that one corporate structure.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Agent model is interesting, right? I mean, I guess it's one of the ways you can grow to become a big guy. You got the modes of the world. So you're saying that stuff wouldn't be counted in there? I guess it's one MC, right? And they don't really probably have too many W-2s.
No, everybody's running under the same MC number, right? So these are totally independent MC numbers. If you look at the 1,000 largest MC numbers, let's say, right, that's going to account for about 85% of all the revenue in the freight brokerage domestic transportation, let's say, arena, and it's going to be about 1,000. And then if you look at maybe $1 million or more in annual gross revenue, looking at another 4,000 maybe, top 4,000 or 5,000 maybe. And then you have that other 20,000 that are not really all that active. So we can say that there's 25,000. There's a lot of MC numbers closing. That it's on the long end of the tail, but the struggles that they're having, you can see replicated into brokerages of all sizes, right? Just a really a loose market. Your revenue is going down, your net revenue is going down, your margins are squeezed, and it's more of a sentiment indicator, a broad-based directional move than an exact, precise kind of story for that. So,
right,
yeah.
For sure.
It seems that's one of the reasons why we want you to come on the show is that you're talking to, part of that sentiment drive is expansion and contraction and W-2s or agents or, all employee types, right? And you have a nice beat on the sentiment out there right now for 2025.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the market is definitely, I don't want to say shifted, it's shifting, for sure. I think the demand that I see is a ripple effect of what we just talked about. And I'm probably, 3 or 4 ripples down from demand from consumers, right? I guess demand from consumers is the first thing. Liquidity being available, demand from consumers, more freight moving, more money moving towards freight companies, more freight companies moving towards spending on tech, and so maybe on 4 or 5 steps down the road, right? And so I think shift started probably around the last time we spoke in October, November, whenever we were in Fort Worth, and we just got December was a record month for us. We got slammed in January with openings, and so I think it's a reflection of it's a bullish market. Freight tech companies are seeing investment. We're seeing a lot of investment coming back, which is a reflection. The money guys have lots of analysts that do a lot of math that let them know whether or not it's a good time or not a good time to spend. There's a lot of pent up demand from the last 2 years from VCs and private equity too. So all those indicators lead to more job openings and keep us busy, which is an indication that either people are taking a lot of risk or they feel pretty confident based on data that things are moving in the right direction.
And that's a good indicator, right? There's sentiment, right? People taking on risk if you're ready, because no one was really ready to take on risk last year at this time, January of 2024, and certainly not in January of 2023, right? There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. I felt like in January of 2023, where no one wanted to do anything because they didn't know what was going to happen. 2024, they kind of knew. It wasn't good news, but they kind of knew. So it was certainty, but it was low expectations, I think. And in 2025, much higher expectations and certain need to take risk.
Yeah. We were at BGSA 2 weeks ago now, and a lot very educational conversation. A lot of leaders in supply chain having discussions around demand on the retail side, on the CPG side, demand on the M&A side. And I think the sentiment is, yes, it's shifting, but let's be cautiously optimistic still. So I don't think we should necessarily get ahead of ourselves, but we're moving in the right direction. We're definitely moving in the right direction. I think at least for us, again, we're a little bit delayed on the ripple effect and when the demand comes and goes from my perspective. But I think from my perspective, we bottomed out probably in the middle of last year in terms of demand for hiring. Last year was the first. I've been in business 8 years. Last year was the first year we went backwards in terms of volume of hiring.
Right.
We still did well, thank God, and we were busy, but we definitely went backwards in terms of volume. And companies were very selective. They're still hiring. They're super selective with the hires that they made. And I think another good indicator in terms of not just volume of hires and openings that we're getting, but the type of openings that we're getting. So this month, it was past month in January, we saw the first jobs that went away, we started to see come back. So your marketing, your customer success, sales, a lot of demand for sales and sales leaders. Also saw a big demand in first-time founders coming to me and saying, "Hey, I just got my seed round. I need a co-founder. I need a CTO. That's huge, and that's awesome. It means that's the ultimate sign. I think that people are taking risk, right? People are cutting checks from their own money, and angels are cutting checks, and that's a good sign. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I know we don't want to be too certain right about this bull market or how quickly it'll heat up, but how have things changed, this time around compared to the last, freight tech bull market that we saw? Certainly remember, right, when all those sales and marketing jobs started to leave in freight tech, like 2022, 2021. But has anything changed in terms of types of companies hiring, types of talent they're looking for, like any lessons that folks have learned? Maybe not growing as fast, focused more on profitability. I don't know, but if anything's changed.
Yeah, I don't know. There's one blanket answer for that. So one thing that's changed for sure is I think in 2019, certainly 2020, when things were booming, it was an artificial boom, right? So we see the cycles in this industry. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've only been in this game for 14 years, but I feel like it's usually every 7 to 10 years we go up and down, right? We had an extreme up in 2020 because of COVID, which was a completely unnatural boom, right? Like highest rates of containers, highest rates of truckloads, highest demand, highest backups at the ports like we've ever seen. And so there was a lot of money flowing, and that also caused for an unnatural boom in hiring volume, right? And which may have seemed fun and exciting at the time for recruiting firms and for hiring managers, but there were layoffs, right? We saw it happen 2 years later. So I think this scaling up is a little bit more natural and a little bit more gradual, and a little bit more reflective of what's naturally happening in the market. Some people could argue that there's some optimism because of the election. It doesn't matter who you vote for. typically a conservative administration offers deregulation. It's more business friendly, regardless who's in office. So I think there's some optimism coming from that. But yeah, I think it's different this time. Definitely because it's a more natural curve instead of one of these on the way up, and also the demand for talent is different, right? So like even like the tech roles that we're filling, the engineering type of roles, the new startups and freight tech startups. It's like I feel like every other week I'm getting pitched some kind of AI, some kind of automation, some kind of optimization, either pitching me as an angel investor or, hey, I need a CTO or we need our principal engineer or whatever. And so even only 2.5, 3 years ago, we were talking about AI, but it wasn't nearly as dense as it is now.
Right.
So I think that's another change.
Right. Like the types of companies, not as many DFMs getting a whole bunch of funding anymore. It's kind of changed in terms of the type of freight tech companies that seem to be heating up.
Yeah, I think there's always some degree of automation, right? Like every TMS from 10, 15 years ago was automating to some degree what you were doing, right? They were replacing spreadsheets and fax machines, so some kind of automation. But I think this is definitely very different. Yes, I think digital freight marketplace concept is you'd have a really tough time selling it today to anybody, certainly to the best talent from my perspective. But we're definitely seeing a lot of automation tools, a lot of optimization tools, a lot of predictability tools, a lot of forecasting tools, inventory management, inventory demand, all of those tools, super powerful because with those kinds of tools, if you can move the needle for some big companies, if you can move the needle 1%, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars in cost savings and risk and so on and so forth. So, I would agree. Definitely different in a good way, different in a fun way. I'm learning a ton. There's definitely some skill sets that are coming across my desk where I have to do some homework and figure out what this is and how it relates to tech stacks that we were talking about last year before I go recruit for them. It's interesting.
It is. AI is the buzzword, right? For everybody, most everybody I talk to has some form of AI and that they're leading with if they're a new startup or that they're developing if they've been around for a few years and integrating those tools in there. And when you were talking about the pandemic and the artificial, it was artificial demand that wasn't going to last forever. And the quicker you go up, the faster you go down, right? And we lived through that. I think this is, again, it's going to be more gradual. There's optimism in the economy. And also the uncertainty with tariffs, which is good and bad, right? But it creates movement. It creates people taking action in the supply chain, moving stuff around, and we should benefit from that as well.
Yeah, I think so. I'm reading more and more, not only about increasing nearshoring, but reshoring, which I think is also going to have an impact on our industry quite a bit, especially in domestic transportation, LTL specifically. You're going to see a lot less freight starting offshore, which I think is a good thing. So, and that'll definitely have an impact, and I think there'll be quicker money coming into the industry, less delays in getting freight in, less risk in having to bring freight from the other side of the planet. So we'll see. I don't know. I haven't really developed opinion yet about tariffs or no tariffs. I don't know how much of it is just a threat and a negotiating piece, versus something that this administration wants to have long term. I don't know enough about it to have an opinion. I don't think that it's a long term play. I think it's more so, our boy Trumpy being using it as a negotiating piece, and we'll see how long the conversation lasts.
Yeah. Long term, short term, no term, who knows? But just the talk of it creates action.
For sure. The media loves to talk about it. Yeah, the media loves to talk about it, and some people will knee-jerk react, but that has real impacts. Yeah, it does have real impacts. And I would say anytime the news or politicians or the news talking about politicians makes people nervous, when people are nervous, they're hesitant. to spend money, to innovate. So even if tariffs or no tariffs ends up being a good thing, in the meantime, there's a good amount of people that are scared. Are waiting to see what happens. So
it creates change, right?
Yeah, that will have an impact. We'll see what happens long term, but in the meantime, to your point, there are definitely nervous people out there for sure.
We'll see what happens with taxes and things like that. But overall, it's a positive sentiment for
Definitely
increased economic activity, which is a good thing for everybody in any business.
Yeah, for sure. And we're seeing it in all of our conversations.
Yeah, and so good sentiment out there, good conversations. What's your key takeaway that you're getting? Maybe a phrase or buzzword or feeling that you haven't seen before, or something that's new in your conversations that might surprise you a little bit.
It might surprise me or everybody listening.
Anybody, the audience, me, Casey.
Definitely. I would say we talked about this a little bit on the last time we spoke. But now it's happening like on a regular basis in daily conversations, where roles that we're asked to fill that previously were not technical are definitely becoming technical, for sure. And I think almost in an unfair way, like the speed at which the market is demanding people to adjust their skills. Is to fill a skills gap is almost unfair, right? It's happening really, really fast. Where we used to see like roles that used to be like business analyst roles, and data analyst roles, and sales engineer roles, solutions engineer roles, any of those positions that kind of sit between engineering and the customer, where historically used to be like a researcher, analytical data guiding role, is now turning into more of like a data dissecting role, where you're using Python and SQL and other scripting languages to really get deep into it. And that's not something you learn overnight. So we're definitely seeing a lot of demand for that. So that was pretty, I think, I don't know if abrupt is the right word, but to answer your question, I think that's something that's I'm definitely noticing. Yeah.
So you can't be the dinosaur anymore. I'm this person.
You can certainly try.
I guess you could. You're not going to be very successful at it, right? You have to know technology.
Yeah, I think our
industry to get by.
Yeah, our industry, fortunately and unfortunately, depending on who you talk to, has given a crutch to folks who haven't wanted to become more technical for a long time. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, trucks have been moving in this country for 100 years. And it's only up until the last 10, 15 years where we felt enough of a crunch where we were forced to adopt more than your standard TMS. Yeah. So, and typically, we see this people are people, right? I mean, even regardless of what industry we're talking about, I think a very small percentage of people are in the camp of, I constantly need to be learning something new. I constantly need to be going to school. I need to be learning stuff on YouTube for free or teaching myself something. And most people wait until the reality is most people wait until the industry forces them to do that. And so, more and more, I've been preaching this for a long time. More and more, I'm telling people, teach yourself something. If you have like 5 minutes of downtime, you have an hour of downtime, talk to people in your industry that you look up to, figure out, look at that person that has the job that you want. What are they doing differently? What do they know that I don't know? Where is the skills gap? And most of the time you can learn those things for free. Or ask somebody to be your mentor that's in the role that you want to be in. But again, people are people, and the reality is, for better or for worse, the majority of folks aren't proactively doing that. They're typically waiting until the industry or the workforce or employers kind of push them to do that. And I think, unfortunately, for that group, it's happening faster and faster. So if you're behind the 8 ball, you're like really behind the 8 ball. Whereas maybe like 10, 15 years ago, these changes were happening every 3 or 5 years, and I feel like now these things are happening every like 6 to 18 months.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think one of the big trends I see is you need to become. I think everybody everywhere needs to learn how to even rudimentary, be able to use AI, to be able to I guess they call it prompt engineering or whatever. Just to be able to do that and be comfortable with that. Because if you're not doing that, I think life's going to pass you by. Tech is going to pass you by, right? Your opportunities are going to pass you by very quickly.
Or at least be open to the idea. I feel like if you're open to the idea, it's going to come to you whether you like it or not. But when it does come to you, if you're open to it and you're receptive, I think it's one of those things that's it's coming whether you like it or not, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's happening in my industry. I use AI tools for note taking. I use AI tools for gathering data and presenting data and pitching candidates to clients and all the administrative stuff that is really the most time-consuming stuff in my business. I've adopted a few tools, and I was definitely one of those people like 3 or 4 years ago that was like, I'm going to be a notepad and pen guy like forever. It's just what I do. But at some point, it's just like we're in business to make money, right? At some point, it's just like if I can save 10 hours a week, like what are we doing?
I know. I know. It's very important.
So and I'm a small business, right? But if you're 5,000 employees, 10 hours a week is a lot of money. It's a lot of hours. So you can enable those people to do a lot of other things with those 10 hours. So I think one of the notions that I'm really happy that people are starting to realize is that AI is not necessarily replacing people, but definitely enabling people, which I think is great because there's like for the last 3 years we've been hearing this over and over again that like AI is going to take our jobs and could that happen in some cases? Sure, right? Like trucks replaced the horse and buggy, and then we learned how to drive trucks. That's going to happen over and over again. But I would argue in most cases it is enabling people more than replacing people, and it's definitely becoming the general consensus. I think that's the case.
No. And with that, I have to bounce real quick. You guys can take.
Is it already? You already got to go. Jeez, man.
I know, right? It's been a quick half hour, but yeah, I get to jump on.
Me and Casey are just going to talk about golf for the next half an hour. So.
Oh, that'd be good. You guys should.
All right, man. Well, I'll see you next week.
All right. Yep.
Safe travels, buddy.
For sure. No, it's interesting to think about that. How kind of perception around AI has changed. Certainly in logistics, right? It does seem like, I don't know, a Rum Kit, these phone robots, Happy Robot, FleetWorks, things like that. Queued. You've got some like the automation going on for back office stuff with like a Navix or an Upwell. But yeah, it's really cool to see that, kind of like, I don't know, right? The Industrial Revolution, it didn't leave farmers without a job. It just kind of creates more jobs elsewhere. So I guess that, that's something I was certainly scared of about a year ago, right? Is AI going to come steal all the jobs? But to your point, it is really cool to see that it's kind of just taking the mundane BS off your plate and allowing you to go solve some more problems. Probably lead to a lot happier workforce in a lot of cases if you can find a way to take that mundane stuff off of your employees' desk.
Yep, I would argue just like every other new technology that we've been fortunate to have in the last 20, 30 years, at least in my lifetime. There's always going to be bad actors. There's going to be people that use it for negative things. But I think, like everything else, it's been a net win, and I think this will be a net win as well. I mean, if I look at my portfolio of clients over the last, if you look at my portfolio of clients in year 2 out of 8 years of doing business versus today, probably 70% of our clients are building AI tools at this point. Yeah,
right.
Whereas it's drastically different from 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And I'm super excited about it. It makes it interesting, it makes it exciting. And typically the best talent, that we come across, they either want to work for companies that are doing something for the first time or that are the best at what they're doing. And so I've made it my business to make that as much of my portfolio as possible. It just makes for more interesting conversations. The best talent wants to go work for those companies, and you're kind of on the cusp of what's happening in the industry.
For sure. To that end, what are you most excited about? I mean, whether it's freight tech related or not, it's kind of piquing your interest these days.
I mean, from a tech standpoint, I'm really for our industry in particular. I'm really interested in seeing how fast the adoption rate is accelerating for a lot of these voice AI products, right? I mean, I talked to the guys from Happy Robot 18 months ago for the first time, and to see, and Fleetworks and a couple others, and to see where they've come, and not in terms of, they were already there, like they already had their product, they had their idea, they already believed in this, but to see like the change in response in only 18 months in an industry that is accurately to some extent, considered a slow adopter of technology. I mean, coming along, man. Like people are really interested in this stuff. Like really, really interested in this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of brokers, carriers, shippers that they see this and they're like, okay, if only because it's super cool, right? When you see it for the first time, then they're like, all right, we want to see how this actually may impact our business, Right. And the adoption rate by the users, right? Like your dispatchers, your end users are actually using this thing. The adoption rate has been, I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'll be the first one to admit that I was definitely one of those guys that when the Happy Robot guys were pitching me their idea and the Fleetworks guys and everybody else, like, this is awesome, I love it. I don't know if you're going to sit, in the boardroom of a 100 truck fleet company and they're going to look at you like you're crazy, or if they're going to give you a shot, So, but I think the adoption rate has definitely been pleasantly surprised it, and I'm looking forward to seeing them double down on it. Right.
Yeah, it's really very interesting. Had Paul from Fleetworks on a couple months back, and it was crazy. He, had a carrier negotiation with the robot live on air. It was really cool to see, right? And I think at the end of the day, it just makes the driver experience a lot better, gives your brokerage, a lot more intelligence, and just speeds things up, right? It's interesting that, I think that the ratio you have, there's, a couple hundred brokerages, right, that manage a lot of freight, hundreds of thousands of carriers on the road, right, hauling those loads. Just damn near impossible to communicate effectively with everybody without tools like that. I think I was listening to Andrew Silver on the Freight Pod recently, and he was talking with, I think, David Bell. It's the Clone Ops episode. They're doing some cool stuff too, it seems like. Be interesting to see if he could, become a Brad Jacobs Jr. and make a $2 billion company with that one. But I forget what the technical term was. It's like, 5 years ago at Molo, they're only able to take like 80% of the calls, right? You got to figure out how to prioritize and execute the 30 calls that you're getting on a load. Figure out who the best guy is to haul that freight for you. So it'd be cool to see how it kind of changes the way business is done. Hopefully for happier drivers, happier customers, and like less headaches for brokers.
Yeah, I'm really interested also to see. The things that we're talking about are a matter of convenience and a matter of efficiency. I should say more than convenience, which is great from a business standpoint. I'm really interested to see from a matter of driver safety, where all the AI plays in terms of driver safety and the safety on the road. I think that's a huge market there. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that. Whether or not it's going to what degree it's going to accelerate fully autonomous trucks, I don't know. But even for not autonomous, even for traditional, where you have a guy in the driver's seat, there's definitely seeing some products, AI products, machine learning products that are focused specifically on driver safety. There's going to be a huge insurance play when it comes to that, right? Like billions of dollars with a B in terms of savings when it comes to that. So I would look out for those too. I'm super interested to see what happens there.
Absolutely. Asset optimization, asset utilization is got a long way to go. And I think you're right. There's a lot of cool tools making it easier for the small truck driver to kind of compete. What I was going to piggyback and say there. Oh, we spoke with Jake Coppinger last week at Freight Roll. Like, I think it's possible there's a world where paper is actually eliminated from freight tech in like the next 5 to 10 years. I think I don't know, came across him. He's the first guy that's ever really kind of flung in that makes sense to be able to eliminate paper. But yeah, if you can do that, it'd be interesting to see if liquidity can move a little bit more quickly in freight markets. It just takes so freaking long to get people paid for invoices, and there's a bunch of interest charged between all different parties involved: shippers, carriers, brokers, factors, etc. I think there's a huge opportunity there. It's like paper alone, it's like a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. So if you can eliminate that, that's cool. But like, the upside of the value of being able to, pay people more quickly, and I think like with that comes eliminating fraud is kind of cool. So fun time to be in freight tech for sure. It'll be cool to see what's going on at Manifest next week. But I don't know what else is up in your world. How is the wife, the babies, the dogs doing anything fun these days? Getting out on the boat?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, everything's good, man. Thank God. January was a good time to have cold weather in Florida, because like I said, we're very, very fortunate that we got dumped on with a lot of openings, a lot of work. So I've been working my tail off the last month or so, and we're seeing that kind of get into February. We'll see what happens after that. I mean, typically the first quarter of the year is our best quarter because budgets open up, everybody wants to hire, and everybody's kind of waiting to do that. But what else we got going on? So we're going to Manifest next week. I'll get there a day. We'll get there on Sunday. We'll begrudgingly watch the Super Bowl. I'll be rooting for. I'm a Giants fan, but I will be begrudgingly rooting for Saquon because I like him as a dude. I can't stand the Eagles, but I like Saquon. Would like to see him do well. Hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully it's a fairly ref game. Maybe we'll bet a couple bucks. Being in Vegas, we'll see. And then I'm really looking forward to this event, man. Next week there's a ton of new companies that are going to be there for the first time, freight tech companies. I'm really interested in seeing the companies that are kind of adjacent to what our niche has been. So your warehouse technology, your robotics, like full supply chain optimization tools. I think there's going to be a lot of that there that we don't think about as much in the 3PL world. Domestic truck brokerage, asset-based carriers. A lot of the technology that we work with historically is focused kind of in that niche. So I'm super interested to see, like I said, like the robotics world and the warehouses. I'm really interested to see. There's going to be some really cool companies there that I saw that are doing automation at terminals. So like port terminal operations, automation there, AI there, a lot of the international stuff. Super interested in seeing some of that. So I'm going to spend quite a bit of time. I know last year I had an area for like super, super early startups where they're like kind of like really small booths, and these folks, maybe they don't even have a seed round, right? They just kind of have an idea and some angel money. So I'll be spending some time over there getting to know those folks and just seeing who's got new ideas and who's doing different things. What about you? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, a lot of the same, actually. I'll be out there looking for a lot of those companies doing cool things with regard to supply chain, warehousing, working with the Change Conference this year. So I'll be representing them. It's the Association for Supply Chain Management's newly rebranded conference. So going to be hosting that in Columbus in September. Like massive audience of Fortune 500 shippers showing up to that. So excited to be working with Charlie Pesty and his team to and deliver a really awesome sponsorship experience there. Some great content. So yeah, I'm gonna be hunting on the exhibit hall floor as well.
Will there be a lot of tech at that event?
Yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of tech there. And looking at the sponsors page and utilizing the Manifest app, it's pretty cool to reach out to folks, try and book meetings. But yeah, I mean, there's the big 3PLs there. I think DHL is the headline sponsor. You got your GXOs, your ArcBests of the world. But, you know, you've got some cool robotics companies, certainly some supply chain management, like demand planning stuff, some, you know, risk mitigation type of stuff. But, yeah, it should be good.
Cool, man. Very cool. But outside of that, looking into a little bit into the future, like I said, we'll be at Indianapolis, I think, probably speaking at that event. So I'm looking forward to that at the BCS event. But yeah, otherwise that's pretty much it. And then we're gonna try and cool down for the summer, man. I'm gonna try and actually not travel and work through the summer, and probably won't do much travel until the fall after that.
Grind time in 2025, the theme. I love it.
Yeah, we have to. Can't leave no opportunities left on the table in our business, man. When the opportunities are there, we gotta take advantage of them, and when the rains and pours, as they say, and we gotta be there for our clients too. If our clients are coming to us and they're willing to spend the money to go find the best people, that means they need us, you know. And so it's an opportunity for us to crush it, and it's an opportunity to get more bragging rights, and you know, be able to be the guy that finds the unicorns, and take a lot of pride in that. So we're gonna take advantage of every opportunity we get to do that.
Love it, man. Strike while the iron's hot. But yeah. Anywho, I don't know if I have too much else to hit on with you. I hope you still have some time to get out there, practice on the golf game a little bit.
We will always find time for golf.
Yeah, great sport. Played yesterday. Was able to sneak out, get a couple holes in. Made an eagle. It's really
first one ever?
No, not the first one ever, but first one certainly of the season, and the first, I think, hole under par this season. It's been a really rough start. Lost a lot of muscle memory. So yeah, played the second round yesterday, and par 5, a nice little bomb off the tee, a little 6-iron to like 4 feet, and makes it easy when you can just tap it in. As you know, I'm not a great putter.
Give me eagles. Don't happen every day. So cool, man. Well, it's really great talking with you guys. I appreciate you taking time and inviting me, and I look forward to seeing you next week. And we're definitely gonna work a lot, but we're also gonna have some fun. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Me too. Likewise. Really appreciate your time today. But I'll see you. I'll catch you in Vegas next week. Looking forward to it.
See you, bud. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks, everybody. Happy Thursday. Concludes, I guess, episode 38. I think Kevin's going to be back next week. I'm going to be traveling. But anyways, peace out.